Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Canelo Alvarez and Dmitry Bivol. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, May 7th, it's tomorrow. Big fight. We're going to get to see Canelo Alvarez in there against Dmitry Bivol. This is a good fight. I've said it before coming up into this one. Look, I made a video, Canelo versus Dmitry Bivol, first thoughts. That was a video where I kind of just went over some of the first thoughts I was having, delved into a little bit more detail about some things and some potential ways that I saw the fight going. Ideally, I'd like to get this video out a little bit sooner, but because I didn't, I'm not going to really delve into the whole style of each man so much. I'm just going to kind of get right into the details of what I think is going to be important in this fight. But before I do that, just let me say, I think this is going to be a really good one. A lot of people have said it building up into this fight. A lot of people, a lot of fighters, a lot of people in the fight game, and that surprises me a little bit just because initially when I looked at the film, I could see how good Bivol is, right? Like this dude is a very legit fighter, but he doesn't have a lot of popularity. He's not necessarily a big name. I thought that he wasn't going to exactly get a lot of respect. I thought this was going to be a situation where looking back, people were going to acknowledge how good of a fighter he was, but right now in the moment, he wasn't really going to get that much credit. But surprisingly, that's not the case. Surprisingly, a lot of people are calling this as a very close fight. Sean Porter, a man I really liked watching, a man whose knowledge I respect, like him as an analyst, he came out and said he thinks this is the most dangerous fight that Canelo's taken in years. Went so far as to says it's almost a 50-50. And I get where he's coming from, man. I really do. Bivol is that good of a fighter. But what I really think this one's going to boil down to, what I really think is going to be the story of this fight and what's going to be the overarching theme of what's going to make the big difference is geography. It's all going to be about where this fight takes place. If looking back, we say the fight primarily took place in the middle of the ring and it primarily took place at range, I think that's going to be a win for Bivol. Don't get me wrong, Canelo's going to be able to do some good work, but if that's where the majority of the fight takes place and it goes to distance, I'm going to say that Bivol gets the victory. If you tell me that the majority of the fight takes place at middle distance and close distance and up against the ropes, I'm going with Canelo. I hate to boil it down to something so simple, but I think that's the way it is. Now, look, there's going to be a lot of nuance inside of that, right? Because it's going to be, how does Canelo get inside of Bivol's jab, right? Because the thing is, all I have to do is look at one fight. All I have to do is look at one fight with Bivol, and you can see right away the skill set he brings to the table. Look at the very first half of the first round against Joe Smith. Just the first minute and a half against a fighter like Joe Smith. And you see Bivol execute how good he is using the jab. You see he uses the jab offensively. That's what you see typically the most of the time. He's keeping the opponent at distance. He's scoring points, keeping them on the outside, setting up other shots. Use the jab at distance offensively, but he also uses the jab defensively. There's times when Joe Smith is attempting to come in and close the distance. He's using a lot of pressure. Bivol will mess up his rhythm. He'll stop him in his tracks with that jab. That's something you don't see quite as often. Uses the check left hook very well. Pivots out off of it when Joe Smith is trying to apply the pressure. And there's other times when Joe Smith is trying to come in and Bivol will time in with a nice little right hand. Just in that minute and a half, he showed all the footwork to keep the distance he wanted, backed out, never got pinned on the ropes. Didn't you, it was really good just in that short period of time that he flashes so many skills against a guy like Joe Smith Jr. So very impressive. And he's done it in every fight. He's done it in every other fight as well. But that was just, when I was looking through those fights, that was just such a quick summary. But if you know what you're looking for, you can really see that it highlights a very good skill set that the man has. And that's going to be the skill set that he's going to use against Canelo, which is going to give him trouble. I mean, look, we've seen Canelo lose rounds against, Caleb Plant, BJ Saunders, Kovalev. It's no surprise. We've seen him go in there against taller guys with the jab, guys with footwork, guys who know how to fight at distance, guys who fight long and use straight shots, and he's lost rounds. He's not Floyd Mayweather in the sense that we look back at Mayweather's career and he barely lost any rounds, right? At least during the latter half. But that's not Canelo's story. As he's moving up in weight, he's taking these challenging fights. He's losing rounds. Now, look, don't get me wrong. He's coming out with incredibly impressive victories by stopping most of these guys, right? He's winning the latter half of fights. He's doing ridiculous damage to guys with these heavy punches landing. So I'm not trying to diminish anything that he's doing. I'm just saying we see him losing rounds, so we see that there's ways that people are able to have success against him, and that just happens to be the exact skill set that Bivol possesses. He's going to be able to work that jab. He's going to be able to stay at distance. He's got very educated footwork. Does he have the fastest feet for opponents that Canelo's face? No, but he doesn't have to. A lot of guys have faster feet than Canelo. Canelo's got very smart footwork, very educated footwork. He always gets himself into the position that he needs to be in to deliver the shots that he wants to deliver. But he doesn't necessarily have the fastest feet. And that's fine. He sees success anyways, right? So, but if you look at, again, Caleb Plant, Saunders, and now Bivol, I think they've all got faster feet. I think they've all got faster feet than Canelo. I think, Bivol's got the slowest feet of the three, but he uses his footwork differently. He doesn't use nearly as much. He's not moving all around the ring. He's using his footwork just when he needs to, but basically he's going to be in front of you because that's where he wants to score his points from. He's not trying to jab and be pretty and dance around so much from the outside. He's going to be there, but if you apply pressure and he wants to stay at distance, he knows how to back up. He knows how to use a little half step so that he's in a position to land a counter, which is going to be, a very effective weapon for him if he knows how to use it, or it's going to be a very important tool that he's going to want to use because we all know that Canelo's going to want to come in and apply pressure. He's known for coming in and applying pressure without throwing punches. That's exactly what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to find a way to nullify Bivol's jab, and he's going to have to be able to get in on the inside enough as the shorter man with a shorter reach to land those big left hooks to the body, to land those big right hands to the body, to land those big shots upstairs. He's going to have to find ways to cut off the ring and corner him and get that damage done. So look, at the end of the day, I think this one's going to play out very interesting. I think Bivol's going to win the majority of the early rounds. I think we're going to see Canelo look good in flashes. I think we're going to see him cut off the ring quickly in spots and be able to land a few big shots here and there. But when we look back at the first, 4 to 5 rounds, I'd say Bivol wins 3 of them, maybe even 4 of them. I think he's going to control the majority of it. I think we're going to see the difficulty that he's able to give Canelo and the difficulty that Canelo has closing the distance effectively for long periods of time. You look at a 3-minute round, it's like, were you able to fight at the distance that you wanted and the geography that you wanted for 45 seconds and the other guy had it for over 2 minutes? That's not really what you want if you're looking to win this fight. Now, as the fight goes on, I think Canelo's going to be able to close the distance a little more and be a little bit more effective. But Bivol's no slouch, man. Once that hits mid-range, he's got fast hands, throws combinations well. So it's going to be his own set of troubles in there. But I think Canelo's got the heavier punches. I think he's got an iron chin. He's going to be able to take it. I think he works better on the inside with his angles, and I think he goes to the body incredibly well. Real good left hook. Bivol is not known for a body puncher. That's going to add up as the fight goes on and play in Canelo's favor. Now, how's it going to end? Probably going to go the distance. To be perfectly honest with you, I know that's not necessarily what we're used to seeing recently in a lot of Canelo's fights, but I think this one ends up going the distance. There have been people who've said, surprise, surprise, that they think Bivol will win the fight in the ring. That the majority of us, when we look back at the fight, will end up saying it was very close, tough fight, razor thin, but we give it to Bivol. However, officially on the judges' scorecards, they think this one's going to go to Canelo. Wouldn't be the first. If that were to happen, if that were to play out that way, it wouldn't necessarily be the first time we saw that in boxing. Now, would it? Right? I can understand why somebody says that. I totally get why somebody would come with that opinion. I'm going to come with it just a little bit differently. I think we are going to say that Canelo ended up winning the fight. I do think it's going to be razor thin. I do think it's going to be a little bit controversial in the sense that it's going to be what you give credit for. I think Canelo's going to have the harder punches. I think he's going to do more damage. May bust up an eye, may cause a cut on Bivol, something like that. But Bivol may dominate longer portions of the fight. But it's just with the jab. It's just with keeping Canelo at distance. It's just landing little pot shots here and there, maybe slipping in a right hand. And then Canelo comes in and lands something big and it's heavier. But Bivol is clearly landing at a higher rate, using more work rate, using better footwork. Maybe you'd even say being the ring general in the sense that he's controlling things. So in that way, it's a little bit subjective. But I think Canelo's going to do more damage, and I think that at the end of the day, he'll get the victory on the judges' scorecards, and that more people than not will also say that they thought he came away with the victory. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is going to be as close as I do? It's going to be an incredibly close fight, but the Canelo's going to edge out with the victory? Or is it going to be, like I said, is this going to be one of those ones where, Canelo gets a little bit of favoritism, we'll say, as the face of boxing, and walks away with the victory, but we feel like Bivol got it? Let me know what you guys think.